With me in Milwaukee is Jackie Kucinich and David Polyansky. So, Jackie, we're expecting this to happen soon. I want to add one more piece of information here for the tea leaves for us to read. We do know that the Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, was at his home, but he left his home in a 3-car motorcade this morning. We have 2 others who have been told to be on the short list, Doug Burgum, Senator Marco Rubio. They're both expected to be here in Milwaukee. They have speaking gigs this week at the RNC. So where do you think this leaves us?
I've learned, and I'm sure you have too, covering Trump all these years, you never guess. You never guess what he's going to do. However, I mean, it really does seem it has narrowed down to these 3 men, and they all have different assets that could be added to a Trump ticket. But I think one of the things that remains true even after Saturday, Trump doesn't really. This VP will be an asset to Trump, and that is how do I say this? It's not. He doesn't need to have Ohio, right? He doesn't need to get Florida on board or North Dakota. It's going to be for different reasons.
You have to imagine at this point that the Trump campaign, after the debate, after the events of this past weekend, they're probably feeling they don't really need the VP to do anything in particular right now.
Look, I think Donald Trump gets to pick the nominee or the vice presidential nominee who he wants, not that he needs, to your point. There's nobody electorally at this point that's going to make a difference. He came into the debate leading, he left the debate leading, and he heads into this convention in a really strong place. So he gets to make a choice today on who he wants to serve with, which is not unprecedented, but it's a pretty relaxing place for him. Now, I do think the events of 18 days ago on the debate stage with all the criticisms that the president's faced about his fitness for office, and certainly the tragic events of Saturday, I think have put in light, though, the need to pick somebody that everybody feels comfortable with as a number 2, somebody that could step in a tragic circumstance, or in the case, as we're seeing with the president today, somebody that might step in as both of these men are a little bit older. And so I think the 3 folks we're talking about tonight are relatively young, relatively vibrant, and I think can all fit that role for him.
We were talking to Tim Alberta, who just spent about 6 months basically embedded in the Trump campaign. And he said that in the Trump campaign, they're thinking about this kind of in 2 lanes. You've got the sort of lining up the next generation, and then you have a sort of more establishment pick that would have been designed to kind of calm the waters. So if that is in fact the thinking, there has been this kind of public and I'm sure private back and forth about where did each of these men fit into that paradigm? I think for perhaps J.D. Vance, it's the clearest lane that he fits in, maybe the next generation. But what do you think about Marco Rubio and Doug Burgum and how they fit into that paradigm?
I mean, Marco Rubio would obviously be a historic pick. Someone of Hispanic descent. He would, I think he'd be the first. I'd have to check. But, and he also is the next generation. He occupies that as well. Burgum, I mean, he has been very steadfast with Trump ever since he dropped out of the race. He's someone who Trump respects because of his business acumen, and he has been an executive of a state, so, and a popular one at that. So they all do have different assets that you could see playing into Trump. But you also have to say all of these men have been very loyal to Trump, which is also a very important asset for this campaign.
Yeah, and just to reiterate for any folks joining us right now, we've learned, according to several sources, that Donald Trump is expected to announce his vice presidential pick in the next few hours. We are on day 1 of the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee, and in just a few hours, we're going to see the kickoff of the formal programming. This is going to be the roll call part of the program. So it does make sense in a way for this announcement, if it's going to happen today, for it to happen sometime in that time frame as the official kind of ceremonial part of this convention kicks off.
Well, look, I've been to a lot of conventions. Both have. I don't know that I've ever seen a level of enthusiasm and anticipation, not because there haven't been exciting picks in the past or exciting, nominees, but just the circumstances of this past weekend. This arena is ready to explode in enthusiasm when they see Donald Trump and when they hear his pick. And so just even going back to the point of maybe there were, folks wanting Nikki Haley, for instance, to be on the ticket or others in the donor class. I think all of that's been erased over the last few days, especially. He's going to come in here tonight and announce somebody, and they are both going to be embraced by this arena with a level of enthusiasm that we probably haven't seen in our party in quite some time. And so it's a unified party, from donors to activists to the primary base as well. And tonight and over the course of the next few days, I think they get a chance to not only introduce this new pick, but introduce their message in a very positive, visionary way. And if they do that, I don't think the Democrats will have a chance to catch up.
Unity, you said unified. I mean, that's what I've heard over and over again talking to delegates here. Just the level of unity here, even before Saturday, but certainly since Saturday, it just really galvanized and really lit a fire under his supporters. So I think that we'll see a lot of that. I mean, Nikki Haley was invited. She was not initially, reportedly. And so even that, like bringing someone in who he didn't have a good relationship with until, very recently, that is also a signal that they really want to bring everybody in and go forward and, try to win this thing.
I mean, think about it. You have Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley speaking. You have Ted Cruz speaking, who ran against him last time. Marco Rubio's on the short list. I mean, this is as unified a party as you could ask for heading into an important convention like this.
Yeah, look, the convention is supposed to be the high watermark for the political parties in terms of their energy, their enthusiasm, the positive message that they're putting out to the rest of the country. And so it's not surprising what you're saying here, that people are going to be really excited when Donald Trump comes into this room. You're hearing the music behind me. We are in the hall at the Republican National Convention. We'll be right back with much more on our breaking news.